Have you ever wondered why the people who seem to chase attention rarely keep it, while those who quietly walk away often become impossible to forget? Human psychology has always been fascinated by what is unavailable. The moment something becomes difficult to obtain, our minds begin assigning it greater value. This is not simply a social habit, it is a deeply rooted psychological pattern that shapes relationships, respect, attraction, and influence. Most people believe attraction is created by saying the right words, impressing others, or constantly proving their worth. They spend enormous amounts of energy explaining themselves, defending every action, replying to every message immediately, and trying to win the approval of people who have not earned their attention. Yet this endless pursuit often produces the opposite result. The more desperately you seek validation, the less valuable you appear. Human beings instinctively admire those who seem complete without external approval. Most people believe attraction begins with speaking more, proving themselves, or constantly reminding others of their value. Human psychology reveals something entirely different. The more desperately someone seeks attention, the more ordinary they appear. The individual who is always available, always explaining, and always reacting becomes predictable. Predictability removes curiosity, and curiosity is one of the strongest forces behind attraction. People are naturally drawn toward what they cannot fully understand or easily possess. This does not mean becoming distant out of arrogance or treating others with disrespect. It means recognizing that silence, patience, and emotional control often communicate greater confidence than endless words ever could. When you stop feeling the need to explain every decision or respond to every opinion, you begin projecting quiet strength. Others notice this change, not because you demanded their attention, but because your behavior no longer follows the expectations they have grown accustomed to. Silence has always carried a unique kind of influence. Throughout history, the most respected leaders rarely wasted words trying to convince everyone of their importance. They understood that confidence is demonstrated through actions rather than announcements. When someone constantly tells the world how valuable they are, it usually suggests they are trying to convince themselves first. Genuine confidence never needs excessive advertising. It is reflected in calm behavior, measured responses, and the willingness to remain silent even when others expect an emotional reaction. Human beings instinctively associate composure with strength because emotional discipline is difficult to maintain. Anyone can react in anger, frustration, or desperation. Very few people can remain calm under pressure, and those who do naturally stand apart from the crowd. Another important aspect of human psychology is the relationship between mystery and attraction. When every thought is immediately shared and every emotion is instantly displayed, there is little left for others to discover. Curiosity disappears because everything has already been revealed. But when someone speaks thoughtfully, chooses their words carefully, and allows certain parts of their life to remain private, they create an atmosphere of mystery. This mystery does not rely on manipulation. Instead, it reflects self-respect. Not every opinion deserves an explanation, and not every person deserves unlimited access to your thoughts. Healthy boundaries create respect because they demonstrate that your attention is valuable rather than unlimited. Attention itself functions like a form of currency. Most people spend it carelessly, giving it to criticism, gossip, arguments, and individuals who contribute nothing positive to their lives. Every unnecessary reaction is an investment of time and emotional energy that cannot be recovered. The people who become truly influential understand this principle deeply. They protect their attention because they recognize that where attention goes, energy follows. If your focus is constantly consumed by people seeking to provoke you, there is little energy left to improve your own life. But when you become selective about where your attention is directed, others begin to recognize its value. Just as rare objects often become more desirable, selective attention becomes more meaningful than attention that is given freely to everyone. Many individuals mistakenly believe that being constantly available strengthens relationships. In reality, unlimited availability often leads others to take your presence for granted. Human beings tend to appreciate what requires effort. This psychological tendency appears in nearly every aspect of life. We value achievements earned through persistence more than those handed to us without difficulty. Relationships often follow the same pattern. When your time is respected because it is limited, your presence becomes more meaningful. This does not require ignoring people out of pride. Instead, it means building a life so purposeful that your priorities naturally demand your focus. People respect those who have meaningful goals because purpose itself is attractive. There is also a powerful emotional shift that occurs when you stop seeking approval. The opinions of others lose their ability to control your mood. Criticism no longer feels like a personal attack because your identity is no longer dependent on outside validation. Praise also becomes less addictive because your confidence comes from within rather than from applause. This emotional independence is surprisingly rare. Most people allow compliments to inflate them and insults to destroy them. The individual who remains steady regardless of either develops an inner stability that others instinctively admire. Calmness under both success and criticism communicates maturity, resilience, and self-control. People often underestimate how closely attraction is connected to emotional certainty. Someone who constantly questions their worth, asks for reassurance, or fears being misunderstood unconsciously communicates insecurity. In contrast, someone who trusts their own judgment, accepts that not everyone will understand them, and continues moving forward without unnecessary explanation creates a completely different impression. Their confidence confidence is not loud, but it is unmistakable. They do not chase recognition because they understand that lasting respect cannot be forced. It is earned through consistency, discipline, and quiet self-belief. The greatest irony is that many people spend years searching for ways to become more attractive to others while overlooking the simplest principle of all. Attraction often grows when your primary focus shifts away from being noticed and toward becoming someone worthy of respect. As your discipline increases, emotional reactions decrease. As your purpose becomes stronger, your need for approval becomes weaker. As your confidence deepens, your words become fewer but more meaningful. This transformation changes how others perceive you because people naturally gravitate toward those who appear secure, composed, and emotionally independent. The quiet power of silence is not found in avoiding people. It is found in mastering yourself so completely that your presence carries influence even before you speak. One of the greatest misunderstandings about human interaction is the belief that attention becomes more valuable the more freely it is given. In reality, human psychology operates in the opposite direction. People instinctively place greater value on what is selective, limited, and earned. Attention is one of the most powerful forms of currency because it communicates importance. Every moment you spend listening, responding, encouraging, or simply being present tells another person that they matter to you. When this currency is handed out without thought, it gradually loses its value. But when it is invested with intention, it gains tremendous psychological weight. This is why individuals who guard their attention often command more respect than those who constantly seek to give it away. Think about how most people behave in today's world. Notifications demand immediate responses. Social media encourages endless engagement. Every disagreement invites an argument, and every opinion seems to require an explanation. Many people feel guilty if they do not respond instantly or if they choose not to involve themselves in every conversation. Over time, this habit creates the impression that their attention is always available. When something is always available, people stop appreciating it. Human nature adapts quickly to constant access, and what was once meaningful becomes expected. The result is that your presence begins to feel ordinary rather than valuable. Those who understand psychology recognize that attention should never be distributed carelessly. Instead, it should reflect your priorities, your values, and your purpose. Every time you choose where to focus your mind, you are making an investment. If you constantly invest your energy in drama, gossip, unnecessary conflict, or individuals who repeatedly disrespect your boundaries, you sacrifice opportunities for personal growth. Your attention shapes your reality because whatever consistently occupies your mind eventually influences your emotions, decisions, and behavior. This is why disciplined people become increasingly selective. They understand that protecting their focus is not selfish. It is essential. Selective attention also changes the way others perceive you. Imagine two individuals. One immediately replies to every message, joins every discussion. He tries to satisfy every request. The other responds thoughtfully, values their time, and engages only in conversations that truly matter. Which person appears more confident? Which one seems more purposeful? Most people are naturally drawn toward the second individual because their behavior communicates that their time has value. They do not appear rushed by the expectations of others. Instead, they decide where their attention belongs. This quiet control creates an impression of stability and confidence that words alone cannot achieve. Many people mistake constant availability for kindness, but genuine kindness does not require sacrificing your peace or abandoning your priorities. Healthy relationships are built on mutual respect, not unlimited access. When people know that your time is meaningful, they often become more intentional in the way they approach you. They appreciate conversations instead of taking them for granted. Your attention becomes something that is respected rather than expected. This shift happens naturally because scarcity changes perception. The less frequently something is available, the more carefully people value it. Another important aspect of attention is that it reveals what truly matters to you. People observe where you place your focus long before they listen to your words. If you consistently react to criticism, they learn that criticism controls you. If you constantly defend yourself against negative opinions, they discover that your confidence depends on acceptance. But if you calmly continue pursuing your goals without allowing distractions to dominate your energy, they begin to see someone whose priorities cannot easily be shaken. This creates admiration because emotional discipline is uncommon. Most people chase immediate satisfaction while disciplined individuals protect their long-term purpose. There is also a hidden psychological effect when you stop seeking attention from everyone around you. You begin reclaiming control over your emotional state. Instead of waiting for compliments to feel confident or approval to feel worthy, you generate those feelings internally. This inner independence changes your behavior in subtle but powerful ways. You speak with greater certainty because you are no longer trying to impress anyone. You make decisions based on your values rather than on public opinion. You become comfortable with silence because you no longer fear being misunderstood. Ironically, this independence often attracts more respect than any attempt to gain attention ever could. Purpose plays a significant role in this transformation. Individuals who have meaningful goals rarely have time to chase validation. Their schedules are filled with learning, creating, improving, and building. Because their focus is directed toward progress, they naturally become less available for unnecessary distractions. This is not a calculated strategy to appear attractive. It is simply the result of living with intention. Others notice this dedication because it contrasts sharply with the constant search for approval that dominates modern life. A person who is deeply committed to their own growth radiates a quiet confidence that cannot be manufactured through appearance or conversation alone. The greatest mistake people make is assuming that attention should be used to convince others of their value. In truth, your attention is valuable precisely because it is limited. Every day offers only a certain number of hours, and every hour spent on meaningless conflict is an hour taken away from your own potential. When you begin treating your focus as your most precious resource, your choices become more deliberate, your relationships become healthier, and your presence becomes more significant. People naturally recognize those who respect their own time because they understand that anyone who values themselves enough to protect their attention is someone who has already discovered a source of confidence that cannot be taken away by the opinions of others. One of the greatest advantages a person can possess is emotional detachment. This does not mean becoming cold, uncaring, or indifferent to the people around you. It means refusing to allow every opinion, insult, rejection, or moment of disrespect to dictate your emotions. Human psychology has always been fascinated by emotional control because it represents something that is difficult to achieve. Most people react immediately when they feel challenged. They defend themselves, argue their point, or seek revenge in an attempt to restore their pride. While these reactions may provide temporary emotional relief, they often reveal something much deeper. They reveal that another person has gained control over your emotional state. The moment someone can predict your reactions, they possess a degree of influence over your behavior. True strength begins when that influence disappears. Every interaction between people contains an invisible psychological exchange. Some individuals attempt to gain power by provoking emotional responses. They criticize, insult, manipulate, or question your abilities, hoping you will react impulsively. Once you respond with anger or desperation, they know exactly how to control the conversation. Your emotions become their strategy. This pattern appears everywhere in workplaces, friendships, families, and even among strangers. Those who fail to recognize it often spend years trapped in unnecessary conflicts that drain their confidence and distract them from meaningful goals. Emotionally detached individuals understand a different principle. They recognize that not every opinion deserves a response and not every challenge deserves acceptance. Sometimes the strongest move is refusing to participate altogether. Silence is often interpreted as weakness by those who depend on emotional reactions, but in reality, it can represent extraordinary self-control. Remaining calm when someone expects anger forces them into uncertainty. Instead of controlling your emotions, they are left questioning their own actions. This reversal changes the psychological balance completely because uncertainty weakens manipulation. Consider how people respond to criticism. Most individuals immediately begin defending themselves. They explain their intentions, justify their actions, and search for words that will change another person's opinion. Unfortunately, this endless need to explain often produces the opposite effect. The more desperately someone tries to convince others, the less confident they appear. Confidence rarely argues for recognition because it does not depend upon approval. Emotional stability allows a person to accept that misunderstanding is sometimes unavoidable. They know their character cannot be defined by every opinion expressed about them. Rejection offers another powerful example of emotional detachment. Human beings naturally dislike rejection because it challenges the desire to be accepted. Many people respond by chasing harder, seeking validation, or trying to prove their worth. Yet psychology suggests that desperation reduces attraction while confidence increases it. The person who accepts rejection with dignity communicates something important. They demonstrate that their self-worth does not depend on a single opportunity or a single person's approval. This attitude reflects abundance rather than scarcity. They believe more opportunities will come because they trust their own value instead of relying on external confirmation. There is also remarkable strength in refusing to personalize every negative experience. Not everyone will appreciate your ideas, your personality, or your ambitions. Some people criticize because of their own insecurities, while others simply view the world differently. Emotionally mature individuals recognize that they cannot control every perception. Instead of wasting energy trying to change every mind, they invest their attention in improving themselves. Their focus remains on growth rather than approval. This shift creates inner peace because success becomes measured by personal progress instead of public opinion. Another reason emotional detachment commands respect is that it demonstrates patience. Impulsive reactions are driven by immediate emotion, while thoughtful responses are guided by long-term thinking. People instinctively trust individuals who remain composed during stressful situations because calmness suggests competence. Whether in leadership, business, or personal relationships, those who maintain emotional balance are often viewed as reliable decision makers. Others begin seeking their advice because they appear capable of seeing beyond temporary conflict. Their calm presence creates stability in environments where emotions usually dominate. Emotional detachment also protects your mental energy. Every unnecessary argument occupies space in your mind long after it ends. Every attempt to convince someone determined to misunderstand you consumes valuable time that could have been invested elsewhere. Life offers limited emotional resources, and wise individuals spend them carefully. They understand that protecting peace is not avoidance, it is discipline. By refusing to become emotionally entangled in every disagreement, they preserve the clarity needed to pursue meaningful goals. Perhaps the greatest transformation occurs when emotional control becomes a habit rather than a strategy. At that point, your confidence is no longer dependent on praise and your peace is no longer threatened by criticism. You stop reacting simply because others expect a reaction. Instead, your responses are chosen with intention rather than emotion. This quiet discipline gradually changes how people see you. They begin to recognize someone who cannot be easily manipulated, intimidated, or distracted. Respect naturally follows because genuine emotional strength is uncommon. In a world where many people allow circumstances and opinions to control their moods, the person who remains steady, composed, and focused possesses a form of influence that requires no announcement. Their greatest power lies not in controlling others, but in mastering themselves. Perhaps the greatest mistake people make is believing that attraction comes from pursuing others instead of pursuing their own growth. Human psychology repeatedly demonstrates that individuals who are deeply invested in developing themselves naturally become more interesting, more respected, and ultimately more attractive. This does not happen because they are trying to create an image or manipulate people's perceptions. It happens because purpose transforms the way a person thinks, behaves, and carries themselves. When your energy is directed toward becoming better rather than being noticed, your confidence begins to grow from genuine achievement instead of temporary validation. That kind of confidence cannot be imitated because it is built through discipline rather than appearance. Most people spend an extraordinary amount of time monitoring how others perceive them. They wonder whether they are liked, admired, accepted, or appreciated. Every compliment lifts their confidence while every criticism weakens it. This emotional dependence creates instability because their sense of self changes according to other people's opinions. The individual who chooses self-development follows a completely different path. Instead of asking, do people approve of me, they begin asking, am I becoming stronger than I was yesterday? This single shift changes everything. Their attention moves away from external judgment and toward internal progress, allowing them to develop confidence that is no longer controlled by the reactions of others. Purpose has an unusual psychological effect. People who wake up every morning with meaningful goals simply have less time to chase approval. Their schedules are filled with learning, creating, practicing, building, and improving. Because their minds are occupied with growth, they naturally become less concerned about minor disagreements, unnecessary drama, or constant social validation. This emotional independence is highly attractive because it communicates that their happiness is generated from within rather than borrowed from the people around them. Others instinctively recognize this difference even if they cannot explain it. Confidence rooted in purpose feels authentic because it does not require constant recognition to survive. Another important aspect of self-focus is that it creates consistency. People who are obsessed with pleasing others constantly change their behavior depending on who they are around. They adjust their opinions, hide parts of their personality, and sacrifice their own values to gain acceptance. While this may produce temporary approval, it gradually destroys authenticity. Human beings are surprisingly skilled at sensing inconsistency. They may not identify it consciously, but they often feel uncertain around people who constantly change themselves to fit every situation. In contrast, someone who has invested years developing their principles, skills, and character behaves consistently regardless of the audience. This consistency builds trust because people know what to expect. Authenticity becomes more persuasive than performance. There is also a powerful relationship between self-improvement and emotional resilience. Every new skill mastered, every challenge overcome, and every obstacle faced successfully strengthens belief in your own abilities. Confidence earned through experience is far more durable than confidence created by compliment. External praise can disappear overnight, but the knowledge that you have repeatedly overcome difficulty remains with you. This inner certainty changes the way you walk, speak, and make decisions. You no longer hesitate because of fear of judgment. Instead, you trust your ability to adapt, learn, and continue moving forward regardless of temporary setbacks. Self-focus also changes the quality of your relationships. Instead of seeking people who complete your identity, you begin attracting individuals who complement the life you are already building. Healthy relationships are formed between two people who possess their own sense of purpose, not between two individuals desperately searching for someone else to provide meaning. When you become emotionally fulfilled through your own growth, you stop tolerating relationships based on manipulation, dependence, or constant reassurance. Your standards naturally rise because you understand the value of your time, your peace, and your future. Another reason self-development increases attraction is that progress creates natural mystery. People become curious when they notice someone quietly improving without seeking attention. They wonder what habits, ideas, or goals are driving that transformation. Unlike those who constantly announce every achievement, disciplined individuals allow their results to speak for them. Their confidence becomes visible through their actions rather than through self-promotion. Human psychology consistently responds to this quiet strength because actions are more convincing than words. The less someone feels the need to advertise their value, the more others assume that value already exists. Growth also teaches patience, one of the rarest qualities in modern life. Meaningful success never appears overnight. Building knowledge, mastering a craft, improving physical health, strengthening emotional discipline discipline, or creating financial stability all require consistent effort over time. People committed to this process learn to value long-term rewards instead of immediate gratification. As a result, they become less reactive, less impulsive, and less dependent on quick approval. Their patience creates emotional stability, and emotional stability inspires confidence in those around them. Others begin to trust individuals who remain focused despite distractions because such discipline is uncommon. Perhaps the greatest psychological transformation occurs when you finally realize that your value is not something you must convince people to see. Your value is something you quietly build every single day through your habits, your decisions, and your commitment to becoming better than you were before. Once this understanding takes root, the desire to chase attention begins to disappear. You no longer need to compete for recognition because your purpose provides direction. You no longer fear being overlooked because your progress becomes your greatest reward. Ironically, this is often the moment people begin noticing you the most. They are drawn not to someone seeking admiration, but to someone whose discipline, confidence, and quiet determination have made them genuinely remarkable without ever asking for attention.